I've thought about a number of ways to start this, but I'm just going to be. How do I even start this? I'm going to say a number of things in this video, some that you could easily misinterpret as being worse than they actually are. But that's not it. I'm going to tell you right from the start to take my words at face value and do not try to misinterpret it as being like, oh, this is what they really mean, or something slimy like that. I have always been blunt about what I say. Anyone who's watched me stream or anyone that knows me personally knows I am blunt to a fault. Now, with that said, one of the reasons I am taking a streaming break, it's not just because I got burned out from streaming so much of Fate Samurai Remnant on top of having to do the event in such a short order. That, nah, I probably would still have taken a shorter break, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is that, unless I'm mistaken, nobody donated that entire time. I need to explain something to you. I grew up with a very toxic mindset from my family, which is basically how much I make is my value. Now, thanks to my online friends, this mindset has been reduced. But unfortunately, it's still a part of me, especially as I live with my family. My ultimate goal is to be able to move out of this house and be able to live with my best friend and or my boyfriend one day, hopefully. And I can't do that with the money I'm making monthly right now. I want to make this perfectly clear because some people are going to go, "Oh, it's about greed." What greed? What greed? I have basically saved up most of my money that if I really wanted to, I could blow it all on so many different things, but I don't. You see, like, I know some people are gonna bring up like gotcha spending. That's like $25 a month. That doesn't contribute towards anything. And some people may point to the FGO summonings. One that's like during summer, and Honkai Star Rail, for example, that's only during the anniversary. And to be honest, again, I've saved up money for a long time, but it's not enough where I could survive on my own. Maybe, if I'm being generous, with the money I have, I could live on my own for a year. Maybe. Most likely, it would be more 6 months than anything. It is really hard for me to word this in a way that people understand and won't take it as something more nefarious than it actually is. Have you guys noticed how active I get when I'm either in a good mood or someone or a bunch of either someone or a bunch of people donate? I'm doing a lot more stuff. I'm sure you guys noticed that. But let me point to one key aspect that that is in my mind when people donate or such while I'm streaming. If they donate while I'm streaming, my mind goes, this is doing well, even though I could be doing something else that could lead to more money, such as making a bunch of shorts, interacting on Twitter, and maybe people will choose to support me. No, the fact that I'm locked into this and can't do any of that other stuff right now, this is worth doing. Keep doing it. It is hard for me to put this into words that when I am streaming and there's not either new people talking to me, interacting with me, and they show up for more than one stream, or if people donate a bunch, I genuinely feel like I am fighting the voice in the back of my head that's saying this is a waste of time. And I need to implore this. If I didn't have my freaking family on my back constantly asking, oh, how's revenue? How's revenue? How's revenue? I have to report to them during the end of the financial year how much I'm making. And it's always so heartbreaking when they basically tell me it's not enough. It just destroys me. Because I am trying my best. I am an autistic individual. I have back problems. I'm pretty sure I'm both autistic and have ADHD. So I have worked before people even try to bring that up. I have worked as a cashier. I went to, what was it? I went to being not exactly a doctor in training, but a medical assistant. I was basically doing that training for, what was it? Somewhere between 2 to 6 months. And then when I actually did get to be a medical assistant, of course, I was slower than everyone else. That's always my issue. I am always fucking slower than everyone else. That's how it was at Target. That's how it was at Walmart. And, oh, don't even get me started on my memory issues. You guys have seen how bad my short-term memory is. Yeah, imagine working at Jamba Juice and being asked to make 50 different flavors of something. I was only able to work at Jamba Juice so long as I had that list right in front of me. When that list was taken away, which they do after a month, you are expected to know all 50 flavors. And I just couldn't do it. Same when I worked at Mod Pizza. As long as I had the instructions in front of me, I could do it. When they took the instructions away, I was far slower than everyone else. And that's because I think slower than everyone else. I have been fired from every possible job I have done. And all of them were basically for the same reason. You're too slow. As a cashier, I was always told I was too slow. And when I did try to pick up the pace, I would make so many mistakes. Society is not kind to people like me. They're just not. And I don't know if it's because I'm not working out enough or something, but I also have back issues for one thing. Dude, I can't even do dishes without hurting my back. And yet for some reason, I'm able to do other outside chores and such, but for some reason, dishes is what messes up my back. Oh, yeah, did I also mention that if it gets too cold, my body will freak out? Did I mention I can't register hunger signals correctly? Yeah, most people, when their stomach just rumbles and lets them know they're hungry. No, I get a headache. I feel weak. It's hard to walk. I mean, I still can walk. I just have to put in far more concentration so I don't stumble. And all these traits, I swear, have gotten worse as I've gotten older. I did not have these issues when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. But there's so many things I have that even if I was able to work in a regular field, it would get me fired if it stirred up. I cannot imagine working as a cashier now, and if I get hungry, I'm just screwed. I'm just screwed because I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna collapse. The hunger isn't always that intense, but when it is that intense, it just screws me over. And I'm currently still in the process of like trying to get my throat expanded so I don't choke on everything I eat. Well, everything is a bit exaggerating, but it can happen, and there's a reason I eat certain foods so I don't have to deal with the risk of that. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not allowed to just take a nap and then have some food. No, if I don't chug down a bunch of water before that, there's a good chance I will choke and have to throw up in the bathroom. I could not work at a regular place even if I wanted to. And I don't know about anyone else. And again, I'm autistic. I don't know how other people view it, but when I was working as a cashier, etc., I felt like a damn zombie. I felt like the life out of me was being drained when I was working, doing the same thing every single time. Just bringing up items to the register, making sure they're all correctly, counting the money properly. Sorry, it's just this is not easy for me to talk about. Because I know some people out there will try to paint it as something worse than it actually is. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Yeah, that's another thing. If I get too emotional, it basically impacts the rest of my body. Yeah, I am not allowed to get overly angry or I will physically exhaust myself. I can still get angry, I can still get frustrated, but I can't get like furious or there will be consequences to my body, such as having to use the restroom for longer than I would like. Oh yeah, that's another thing is that when when my body gets upset, I have so many indigestion issues even when I'm just eating the most basic of stuff. It doesn't happen all the time, but when indigestion happens, I hate my autistic sensitivity because I will feel like something is off And it's enough where it stops me from doing things, to having the motivation to doing things until it's taken care of. And by taken care of, I mean having to use the restroom for probably 20 minutes. I'm honestly scared to release this because I feel like some people are going to try to turn this into something more manipulative than it actually is. Again, I grew up with a very toxic mindset. And it's because of my friends that I'm working my way out of it. But what doesn't help, I don't know if this is a mistake or not to say, what doesn't help my mental health, especially, and it's not happening right now, but it will when they get back, is every time I go downstairs for a snack, for lunch, for dinner, the news station is on every fucking time. And I'm not just talking about this year. I'm talking about last year, and the year before that, 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 and the year before that. Over a decade of this. And that's one of the primary reasons I hate politics. Because it's shoved into my face from my family. And even when I don't want to talk about these things, because my views have changed compared to how they were a decade ago, they use the parental authority card. Or rather, they raise their voices and such. And the worst part is, even if I wanted to politically argue with them about stuff, hey, remember that bad memory I mentioned? I don't remember a lot of details. I can remember the feeling, but I don't remember the details. That doesn't make it great for making my point, now does it? And even when I've made it clear to them many times, I don't want to hear it, and I don't like who they're supporting. My mother specifically still tries to get me to talk about what they're doing. And even when they don't, I have to hear that shit every single day. It is a rarity that they don't have that news station on and aren't praising whoever is on screen. It is maddening because I am pretty sure they watch at minimum 4 hours a day of that news station shit. I have implored them to try to get other hobbies where they just either watch movies or buy merchandise of like movies or shows or a book they like. No, it's just the news station is on constantly. And I don't know about you guys, but that wears on your mental health, especially when you want to escape it. Literally, sometimes I have thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to do a stream so I don't have to hear them or what's going on. Although, honestly, I feel the same way when it's like Super Bowl stuff and I have to hear them scream downstairs. But, you know, I would rather take my autistic sensitivity being challenged a bit more from them screaming about football than that. Oh yeah, and I can't even say like I'm not interested without my mother taking it as a disrespectful comment. Ain't that great? Ain't that great? They can say that, oh, look at what they're doing, and I'll say a sarcastic comment, and they will literally go like, now you know I support them. Why would you say something so mean? I didn't even say anything mean towards you. This is why I hate politics. It's infested so much of their lives. It is maddening. It is maddening to me. That is why I am so thankful to my community that allows me a safe space away from all of this. It's why, my gosh, if I did not have doors to my room where I could not try to escape all that noise downstairs, I think I would have been driven mad by now. Hell, I'm pretty sure I'm already driven mad. I am probably going to do a stream later about this. But there is so many things I grew up thinking was normal that through my friends, through experiencing others, I've realized no, they weren't normal. And I missed out on things that others had that I did not, such as emotional understanding and all that. I know I'm going all over the place with this. I hope with what I've said, you get that the reason I want to make money with streaming is so I can escape all of this. I know for a fact I can't live on my own. I definitely could not be trusted to cook on my own. That's why Lane has even agreed the day that I come to live with them will be the day that they start to teach me to cook. I just want out of this mental hell that I've been in for so long. And I can't do that unless I am making at least a good, consistent amount of money every month. If I were making somewhere between 500 to 1,000 a month, I could live with Lane right now. Even though I think I'm allergic to cats, I would still find a way to try to bear that over this, where I can feel free to speak my mind, where I don't have to be challenged on things. And that's another thing with the political thing. My mother can yap up a storm about something political for 3 minutes where I don't even say anything and then expect a response from me. I'm sorry, 3 minutes of constant yapping about politics? That's too much for me to even remember what you said. The worst thing is, they're not horrible people. They're just blinded by politics and such. I still love them. I genuinely do. I still have issues with them, especially when it comes to their emotional sensitivity. They'll never apologize for the mistakes they made in trying to raise me as a normal person when I was an autistic individual and I needed something different. I needed more sensitivity. And I needed, especially, for them to have recognized the signs that I wasn't normal. And I needed to be checked by a psychiatrist, a therapist, just someone who can identify that I was autistic. I still remember they tried to make me join the Air Force. That's the key word, make me. Either I would attempt to join the Air Force, or, in their own words, the government would take care of me. I grew up from middle school to basically the moment I'm about to tell you. From middle school, they basically told me if you don't have a good job or you're not in college by the time you graduate high school, you're out of here. Turns out that was a lie. Oh yeah, they flat out admitted it was a lie to motivate me. The same way they lied about how they would kick me out if I didn't try to apply for the Air Force. And guess what? The only reason I wasn't forced into the Air Force was because the guy who basically took my psychology exams when I was trying to enter basically said, yeah, this individual is not mentally there for something like the Air Force. And it was only after that that they started to take my mental health more seriously. But they never apologized. They never apologized for the 3+ years I had of nightmares. Nightmares because I was scared out of my mind that my life, the control I had in my life, was going away. I suffered so many nightmares because of that one single month where I was forced to basically study up on whatever it is the Air Force needed. And if that one guy didn't recognize that I wasn't mentally fit, my family would I probably still wouldn't even know I'm autistic. That one guy basically saved my life. They know I'm autistic now, and they have tried to be more emotionally sensitive. But I'll never get the apology I desire. I'll never get the apology that because I didn't know I was autistic, I basically had 15+ years of self-loathing, self-hatred, thinking I was lazy even though I felt like I was trying my hardest. And it's a lot easier to cast blame on my family than continue that self-loathing. It's not even the fact that I want the apology just so I can feel justified. I want the apology so I can at least feel that they know they messed up and that the emotional, mental torture I've gone through, they at least care enough to say, we're sorry we didn't do better. But instead, what I get when I try to address stuff like that, we're sorry you feel that way. It's how it always is. It's always it's always how. Do you know why I'm always asking? I knew I was going to get emotional. Do you know why I'm always asking Lane, for example, why, if this is good, if this is right to feel this way? Because most of my life, I was basically told only you feel this way. It's not how others feel. It's not how we would take it. And for the longest time, I just thought I was overly sensitive. But it's thanks to people being online, I've realized no, that's just being human. I know I've gone all over the place with this, but I just want out of this mental hell, to live with Lane, to live with someone else, away from all of this, where I can finally continue my life and be away from these people. I don't even hate them. I hate that their ego is too big for them to genuinely feel any emotion towards me when it comes to taking accountability that they messed up in raising me. They messed up in looking at the wrong things to correct. They only cared about my education. They did not care about my mental health. Then again, what can I expect when they genuinely believe therapists are bad people because they put families against each other? Their words. You know, I tried to address my mother once that lie they told me, that they would have kicked me out, it gave me nightmares. I told them that. And it gave me many years of self loathing and questioning and all that jazz. She said, "Why are you still talking about this? It was 3 years ago. Let it go." My mother, when it comes to emotions, and specifically me, can be very cold. Unless she genuinely thinks it's something that's worth getting emotional over. Like, she'll be there for support if, like, I have, like, a bad breakup or something. But if she thinks I'm being emotional over something that doesn't matter, she basically says, get over it. A perfect example of this: when Akira Toriyama died and that news hit me, I was very emotional over that. And when I basically told my family that I wasn't emotionally there today, my mom, I can't exactly remember her last words. She basically said something the equivalent of, "Oh, you're taking this too hard." I had the same reaction when Kevin Conroy died, the voice of Batman. And you want to know something funny? Even my father told my mother, "Hey, no, Don't do that. I genuinely love my mother. I do. But when it comes to emotions, she is terrible at handling it. Literally, one time when I came down after experiencing chapter 25 of Honkai Impact 3rd, which, if you've experienced that, you know that is the highlight of Kiana's character growth story. And I was I was still emotional by how moved I was by it. Not even a negative crying, but just how happy I was. She literally told me, she suggested I take some type of medication she takes that keeps her emotions in check. Why, in her own words, why would you want to cry over something? She is not normal when it comes to emotions. And I definitely get my anger issues from her. That's why I avoid her like the plague when it's cleaning day, because she is a blaming demon and her temperature rises. Also, I don't know how many of you guys have this, but I cannot dare to either question her more than twice or get instructions wrong on helping her with something more than twice before she starts raising her voice and leads to yelling. And yet I'm told I'm overly emotional for that. Again, I've been all over with this. But the reason I want to raise money, be it from streaming, be it just from community support, whatever it may be, is just to get out of here and one day be able to mentally heal from all of this. I can't work a regular job. I just can't. And even if I could, I would feel like a zombie and feel like there's no life in me. That's how I remember feeling when I worked at Target and Walmart. Not to mention constantly being told you're too slow when I'm trying to go as fast as I can. And when I try to go faster, I mess things up and get lectured. Again, my family is not. They're not. This may be revealing a little too much, but another thing that adds to it, they have forbidden me from telling other members in my family that I have a boyfriend online. I'm just flat out forbidden. If I had a girlfriend, it'd be something different. They're more sensitive to that now. But I don't think I need to say too much how my life with them was once I realized I was bisexual. I want out of this mental hell. That's why. Don't take it the wrong way. I do stream for fun. I do. But I'm also still battling the mindset that if I'm not being profitable while I'm streaming, I should be doing something else, like making shorts or conversing with others. If you want an example of how bad this mindset is, I got Donkey Kong Bonanza as a Christmas gift. I still haven't touched it because I'm too focused on either catching up with my gacha stuff, which I do enjoy, that is fun, or I'm too mentally taxed on what can I do to improve my financial situation. I know I would enjoy Bonanza, but I also know it's a distraction and I don't need that. I need to focus on trying to make money. And the only reason I feel comfortable saying this is because all of my biggest financial supporters, most of the time, they can't even make it to stream. I will get like maybe a comment from them of them checking me out and then saying, "Oh, I gotta head to work." I'm not throwing shade, by the way. I'm just observing that. That's perfectly fine for you to do. Again, I heavily appreciate all of your Ko-fi support, and I hope you will continue to do that. Another reason I'm making this is when I'm not when I feel like I'm not progressing or making money, it's hard for me to commit to doing something that just completely traps my time in doing something like that, such as a multiplayer game with everyone else, for example. It's like, well, I could be doing this, or I could be making shorts, or I could be interacting with others, but if I choose to do this, then I'm just trapped here for a bit. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't socialize or hang out. I talk with Lane a lot. That's another thing. I'm just not. I'm sensitive to too much volume. That's why in my Discord, I specifically have a voice chat where only the admins and I can speak, because too many voices at once gives me a headache. It's not an anti. Okay, I am kind of antisocial, but that's the main thing. I just hate getting a headache. I have been all over with this. And I really hope you guys take my words at face value. I really need you guys, if you can, to consider supporting me on Ko-fi. I really, really do. I just want to get out of here and continue my life. If if that if that in your eyes is still greed after everything I've said, I don't know what I can say to persuade you otherwise. Because you're hearing it from my own mouth, not from me typing it out, where tone can be completely lost. Another reason I'm making this is I don't want to hide this anymore. What my mindset is when things aren't going that well. If I were making 500 a month from Ko-fi, from streaming, if I did that for a year and that was consistent, I would have tried to move in with Lane already, because I would have been able to pay rent and I would have had more than enough money from how much I've saved to basically be able to cover when the money does dry up at times. If you can, please consider supporting me on Ko-fi. The link, I think I will upload this to YouTube. The link is down in the description. And I'm sorry I have to make a video like this. I don't like making stuff like this. But it can't be avoided. And the reason I want to make this is if there's people out there that were considering supporting me and they've heard everything I've said and they think I'm manipulative or a horrible person that's just somehow, after everything I've said, is just using others. Like, some people will probably take this away as, oh, so we're paying you to stream? Oh, so there's consequences if we don't support you? If you want to take it that way, go ahead. I don't have the energy to explain what I feel is obvious. One of the worst things I've always had is I'm terrible at communication. Been told that a number of times by Lane and many of my closest friends. I'm not sure what else to say. I don't know how else to really end this on. I just hope that you guys take the correct message and just take everything I've said at face value and don't try to twist it into something it's not. And on the day that this is being recorded, I am most likely going to set up a stream to talk about something else. Thank you for your time, and even if you choose not to financially support me, you guys just commenting on the video, commenting on my streams, commenting on my shorts, interacting with me in some way, that's perfectly fine too. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for your time.